Today I'm going to be reviewing my trade on Microsoft from January, let's see what day it was, January 14th, 2026, so earlier this year. If you can see on my screen here, I'm in replay mode. This is back on this last candle is January 9th. So first off, I started with my nightly prep. I went through all of the stocks on my watch list here, and I was just looking for some daily setups. So here Microsoft was underneath all of the EMAs, and what stood out to me was that these three wicks and even this one here on the 9th was coming down and kind of testing this level of 469.50 area. It just seemed like this price action came down here, bounced off like it wanted to be down here, but buyers were really stepping in and buying up the stock. Went in, set my alert, and then I just waited for the next day to happen, see if it would hit underneath that level. So if I go ahead and play this, there was the next day. And then here comes in Tuesday, January 13th, so the day before I took the trade. And this one actually broke my level. However, if I went to the 10 minute, and this is what January 13th looked like on the 10 minute, it broke pre-market low, which I could have traded. I really don't trade pre-market low unless I'm breaking my level. I try to stick to my levels because through back testing, it seems like my levels have been pretty strong. But here's a break. Here's a couple retests on the pre-market lows, so you could have taken it here. And then this pink line here is my level. It's the previous week low. And we broke, but we never got a retest until around here, which then failed and it broke back up to the upside. So here you can kind of see it's just going back and forth. So there was no true play on it just yet. And then we closed the day pretty strong. So now if I go back to the daily. So that day happened. And at night, I went back, I set my alerts. However, I moved my level from here. I know there's multiple wicks on here, but we broke this, and I wanted to make sure we were outside of the previous day's low. So this range of this candle, I wanted to make sure that we broke it before I entered, because a lot of times if you enter between previous day high and previous day low, it's just gonna chop back and forth. So I set my alert here, and then if we play, get the next candle, we broke it and we dumped. We went from 465.95 down to 459.38, and this is where I took my trade. So if I go to the 10 minute, so in the morning, 9:30, bell rings, candles start flowing. First, we start to test that area, the previous day low. It looked like maybe it was going to be strong, but this big wick, the sellers stepped in and they started pushing the candle down. And then the big candle came. So then here, this is the level I have marked out on the daily, this previous day low. We broke that level. Unfortunately, in the morning, pre-market low came down. And this candle here brought the pre-market low level down, which I'm always conscious of. I don't want to enter when we're inside of this pre-market low and this pre-market high again, because it could just keep going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I've gotten stuck in chop before, so I try to keep that from happening. But if we keep going, we have the next candle forming, and this was the golden ticket right here. It came up pretty close to my level. EMAs started to creep up closer to this candle, and then sellers stepped in, and it even closed underneath the pre-market low. This candle right here, I tried to enter as close as I could to these levels. Once I saw sellers stepping in, I didn't just buy it when it was coming back up, because I mean, if it just kept going, it could have went all the way up to pre-market high and closed up here. So then I would have been out of luck there. So I waited for some sellers to step in. I saw this wick forming, and I tried to enter as close as I could to this pre-market low. Since we were below my level already, I used this one for my entry. And if we keep going, let's speed this up a little bit. we can see we never ended up breaking back above my level. This was my true stop loss level right here. On the daily, if I go back to the daily, that was my true level. This is what I did in my night prep. This is what I said. If this gets back above this level here of 465.95, then my trade is invalidated and it's not something that I want to be in anymore. So it stayed under. It kept going. I trimmed along the way. And this was a pretty awesome day because it just kept going and going and going until we got to around this candle here around 130. This is when I exited my entire position. But at this point, I only had 1 or 2 runners. I got out a decent amount on this pop here. This was pretty extended from the EMA, and I sold here. This ended up being around 100%, a little over 100%. And then we came back up and we just kept going. So I held my runners, my last 2 contracts, and then as soon as we broke here, then I cut it. So that's the type of trade that I'm looking for every day. When the market, if we actually take a look at QQQ on this day, so if we go back, we'll go to the daily, and if we take a look at what this looked like on January 14th, QQQ was also breaking out. So it broke its previous day low, which helped Microsoft continue lower as well. So here's the previous day low, and QQQ even had a pretty red day. So QQQ broke the previous day low and then continued lower. At the end of the day, yes, it got bought up, but this move down here, this wick, is what helped out my trade. So if I go to the 10-minute on QQQ for January 14th, on QQQ, we tested that previous day low. This right here, this red line that keeps flashing, that's the line that I just set on the daily. We opened up, we tested it, and then we rejected it and just started to go lower and lower. That's my Microsoft review from January 14th. See ya.